Welcome to Goldfish on Games, where today things are going to be getting a little bit insulting, but you have to accept that when you're dealing with pirates, particularly those that have the curse of Monkey Island. The Curse of Monkey Island was developed and published by LucasArts in 1997, with the box art being a statement of intent. As we can see, the artwork style has changed again, but the comedy is still here. It's a striking box design and was used in all regions, but I do wish they made the requirements a little bit easier to read. Black on red, that's not the best colour combo, but thankfully it runs on anything above Windows 95 with a 90MHz Pentium and 16MB of RAM. Inside the box we get the game on 2 CDs. And a very nice manual that goes into far more detail on the game than you might expect. From installing to running the game to histories on the series and the characters, as well as explaining parts of the game that we'll get onto later. There's also a nice bit that goes over the first few puzzles, for those who might need an introduction on point and click adventuring. Starting the game and we're introduced to this lovely animated intro that sort of skips over how our new lanky Guybrush managed to escape the Carnival of the Damned as he slowly floats towards Plunder Island, not realising that there's a battle going on. Fire! Between his love Elaine and the man that's never been able to take no for an answer, the evil pirate LeChuck.
How many times do I have to tell you, LeChuck, I just don't feel that way about you?
And as always, being in the wrong place at the wrong time, Guybrush finds himself captured and held on LeChuck's ship.
Throw him in the hold, I'll finish him after the battle.
Where he ends up meeting up with an old friend.
Hey, wait a minute. You're not a pirate. Wally! Don't you recognize me?
This whole section is quite restrictive, as it's basically letting you learn the controls of the game, which have changed from previous Monkey Island and Scum games, as that verb panel is gone, and in its place is the pirate coin, similar but even more simplified than the Sam & Max interface, as it only gives you 3 actions. Use, which allows you to interact with the environment and people. Look, that gives you some information on the items of the world, and then there's talk, that allows you to talk to people, but also use your mouth on a few items. And as typically happens when anyone talks to Guybrush for any length of time, they break down. And you get control of the cannon, which gives us this fun little action-like part that lets you shoot at the undead horde that are trying to row to shore. Oops. And this results in you meeting up with possibly the best new addition to the series, Bob.
Can I call you Bob?
You may call me Murray. I am a powerful demonic force. I am the harbinger of your doom, and the forces of darkness will applaud me as I stride through the gates of hell, carrying your head on a pike.
Stride?
All right, then roll. Roll through the gates of hell. Must you take the fun out of everything?
Who absolutely steals every single scene that it's in, and is voiced amazingly well. Which brings us on to something else that was new about Curse, the voice acting. Now it might be hard to consider these days, but up to this point there hadn't been a talkie version of Monkey Island. There had been other LucasArts talkie games, but this was the very first Monkey Island to have it. And while not everyone was sold on the voice cast, I think they nailed every single part in the game, even for old Guybrush himself. And after a few more puzzles, the game sets its core MacGuffin into place.
Place on this island that's Freckles safe. See you at the wedding.
Or is that a golden fridge? As poor Elaine succumbs to the pirate curse that was given to her by Threepwood. and no amount of antibiotics is going to clear this one up. So we're going to have to go and visit the Voodoo Lady.
Who are you, and how did you just appear like that?
I am one gifted with a second sight, adept at manipulating the forces of nature for the benefit of all who enter my door.
Who really does like to get around. This is what, the third island for us so far? And we end up getting a goal, to go to Blood Island to find the pure diamond ring, as only that can break the curse. And this is the point the game really opens up, as you have multiple objectives that you can do in any order you like, as you need to get a ship, a crew, and a map. All of which is quite reminiscent of the original Monkey Island. I'm going to try really hard to not spoil any of the main story beats, the comedy, or the puzzles in the game, as I really think that this is a game that any adventure fan should go out and play. But there will be a few of my favourite bits as we go through, because I really want to go over each major area of the game, as there's so many amazing locations and people to talk to, all of which is realised in this lovely art style. Which, oh boy, did it split the fans at the time. And still to this day there are people who are not a fan of Guybrush's new look. But as a series, every game has had its own look and style, which I think is part of the franchise's charm. And this style is reflected in the great cast of characters, from little Kenny Foulmouth.
Sure, we have a bottomless mug policy, you know. That'll be a nickel.
Hey, there's no bottom to this mug. Give me my money back.
I'm sorry. I did tell you about our bottomless mug policy, and there are no refunds.
To the fried chicken restaurant owner, Blondebeard.
Of course I have a reservation.
Then let's see your reservation slip. No reservation slip, huh? Then out you go.
The piratical barbershop singers.
We prefer the term buccaneer hairstylist.
And the evil Captain Le Chimp.
Captain LeChimp, you're an overachiever, a doer, while I'm just a tiny little fly.
The chimp?
These and many more are important to solving the puzzles and traps of the island. And after you finish peeling her back, tossing some wood, being impressed by this very neat reflection effect, played some banjo, you'll have your ship, your crew, as well as your map, and be ready to set sail. But first things first, you're gonna have to deal with Rottingham, a pirate that you might have had interacted with before, and because of that, he's not that happy with you.
No, no, you'll ruin my hair!
So he steals the map to Blood Island.
Here, take it.
That's your map? Yeah. As soon as I'm through a pirate...
And before you can go get it back, you'll have to deal with the worst thing a pirate has to face. It's not scurvy, it's not rats, it's not sirens that will tempt you to your doom. It's a sea shanty.
We're a band of vicious pirates
sailing out to sea. When you hear a gentle singing.
And these guys are very good.
Crew, let's get to work.
Our vocation's a thing we love, a thing we never shirk. We'll fight you in the harbor.
We'll battle you on land. When you meet singing pirates.
There'll be more than you can stand.
Oh, that was a good one.
But trip them up and you'll then get on to the next major part of the game.
Surely avoid scurvy if we all eat an orange.
And,
Door hinge? No. Guess the song's over then.
As we're now at sea, where we can finally go pirating. That's right, after all these games, Guybrush finally becomes an actual pirate. Which leads us on to the next major action part of the game, as when you engage the enemy you have direct control of the sea cucumber, and you have to try and maneuver it around and line up your cannons to fire at the enemy. And obviously, they'll be shooting back at you as well. And unless you told Haggis to help out, it will take multiple shots to take them down. Or they might just take you out if you're outgunned. Action elements in adventure games tend to split the fans. Some like having something to break up the gameplay, as long as it's well done obviously, and others just want the puzzling. Now personally, I actually quite enjoyed these bits. And I also quite like the joke that was in the options that's related to this. What do you mean I can't use my voodoo card to make these obviously 3D ship battles look better? And why are we taking on these pirates rather than Rottingham? Well, it's because the old Monkey Island staple is back. The insult sword fight.
As repulsive as a monkey in a negligee.
Oh, yeah?
But due to being out at sea, your retorts
Have to rhyme.
What?
So after boarding a pirate ship, you'll have to fight them one-on-one. And more often than not, you'll lose. But that's okay, as it just adds more insults and retorts to your arsenal. And if you win, you get all the cash that they were holding onto, and you can spend that on upgrading your cannons, which you can buy from this very helpful kid.
I've got a new business now. I'm running guns.
Tell me you're lying.
I never lie anymore, mister. You've shown me the light. Can I interest you in some...
And after a few rounds with the various different pirates, you should have all the responses you need, as those are really more important than the actual insults. And this is because Rottingham doesn't like to use the regular ones, he has his own set.
My attacks have left entire islands depopulated.
With your breath, I'm sure they all suffocated.
So you'll have to work out which responses go with which. But win the day and you can finally head off to Blood Island, where wouldn't you know it, this ship runs aground in the wind. And poor Haggis, he just can't get a break.
Barely holding on myself, mate. My God, this wind, she's the devil's own.
And the faithful crew decide that they've had enough of young Threepwood, which means we now have a whole new island to explore. But the goal hasn't changed, we have to find the ring that will return Elaine back to normal. And this will take us on to meet some new characters, like Madame Zima,
Dark presence coming over me.
Hi there.
and Good Soup.
Please, keep it down. No screaming. Oh, my head.
Sorry. The owner of not just the Good Soup Hotel and Resort, but also a shockingly bad hangover.
Stop yelling.
I wasn't yelling.
First things first, we need to find a cure for that hangover, which the recipe is in this handy book. And one quick fetch quest later, that includes this blind dog.
Ow! He bit me!
He's back on his feet and ready to talk at length about the Good Soups, who cornered the soup market in the Caribbean, and who made this resort that was one of the most famous around. Which, if that was the case, how come there was a single map to get to it? It should have been in every guidebook. Oh well, Guybrush might not have wanted to find the map anyway, as Blood Island is the place he is destined to die. And amazingly, it's not due to the Monkey Island cannibals that have moved here to take care of a lactose-intolerant volcano,
and not upset nor agitate your ulcerative caldera! Okay, boys, toss him in. You've been a wonderful audience, thank you, and good night.
which obviously we're going to have to upset, aren't we? No, it's at his own hand that Threepwood has to meet the devil.
Hey! I'm not really dead.
Or even worse in this case, he has to meet up with an old frenemy. That's right, Stan is back!
I'm glad to be finally out of that thing, even though it was a spacious, comfortable model with plenty of leg and headroom.
In his trademark suit. And where can this swindler go? Well, right into life insurance. Which I'm sure is going to be important when we need to try and find a bunch of cash.
The question isn't whether or not you can afford to buy an insurance policy, it's whether you can afford not to. Speaking of which,
As Guybrush, he has to die again if he's going to meet up with Minestrone Good Soup, the original owner of the diamond ring that our hero needs. But that diamond got stolen from her, and it was done by none other than LeChuck. He's never been nice, has he? And while trying to work out how to leave the Good Soup family crypt, we have another run-in with my favourite character.
Die! Oh, I'm not going to do that again. I think I broke my skull. I'm all skull.
And after a bit of work, we managed to reunite the two dead lovebirds. No, the other one's not LeChuck. And after we help the flying Welshman find his way back to shore, we get to take a very brief visit to the evil-looking Skull Island.
That's a duck.
What are you talking about? Don't you see that?
With the pure Good Soup family diamond completed, and some hand lotion at the ready, the Love Muffin and Plunder Bunny can finally get a chance to get physical. But unfortunately, the only bone around here is the skeleton hordes of LeChuck, who have finally tracked them down and taken them both back to the Carnival of the Damned on Monkey Island.
Elaine will never marry you. She loves me.
She does not. She loves me.
Nuh-uh, she loves me.
Does not.
And to get out of this one will require Guybrush to dig deep into his debating skills to take on the undead master.
La 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 la, I can't hear you. La 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 la.
Or not, as it seems. As we get to play as little kiddie Guybrush. Just look at him, isn't he so cute with his big head? But due to him being a kid again, he's finding it very hard to concentrate and remember what he needs to do. So you might have to help him remember a similar cure from earlier on in the game. And at this point I think it's time to leave the story, as we're getting very close to the end of the game, and I wouldn't want to spoil the ending. But there are still a few things that I want to talk about. Like the fact they brought back a feature of Monkey Island 2, the difficulty setting. Now, despite what the screen might say, Mega Monkey was really the normal difficulty setting. It's what the game was designed for, with puzzles being removed for the easy mode. And they tend to be some of the puzzles that required multiple steps, like trying to get the gold from Blondbeard. And it's been reported that the easy mode was actually implemented in just a few days near the end of the project, due to being requested by an executive of the company, one that I assume couldn't get very far. But thankfully most of the puzzles aren't too bad. There's not too much in the way of moon logic or relying on puns, but there are a few moments that it might not make all that much sense, as at one point you end up needing an umbrella while on Blood Island, and to get it you have to ask for a fruity drink. I think you can tell where this is going, so it's not too bad, and it makes sense what to do with it once you have it, but it's not something you might expect that you might need beforehand. And when you're given so many choices for your drinks, it's not something you expected you needed to select.
No, I'm wrong. I do have this one.
There's also a bit of a pixel hunting moment, as you need a glove to really insult the gentleman pirate, and it's hidden in a tiny pocket in a jacket. So it's something you can very easily skip over. Now there are a few other examples like this, but not too many really. So I think overall it's actually quite fair with its puzzle designs. And being a LucasArts game, you can't die, and there's no dead ends, so it's impossible to get stuck. And between the fun puzzles, the great comedic moments in text, it's a very enjoyable game, and one that's very easy to get going as well, as it's on the digital stores and they all use ScumVM to get it running as well, which makes it very easy to run on pretty much any platform. And I think you really should play it as well, as it's one of my favourite Monkey Island games. I think the second might be the best, but this is a very close follow-up. And while the Flame War kicks off in the comments, I've got to go, because I still got to kick LeChuck's ass. So until next time, I've been the Goldfish, that was How Appropriate, You Fight Like a Cow, and this was Goldfish on Games.
Run, mortal, but do not forget your arch-nemesis Murray. Mark my words, I shall return to haunt you. Do you hear me? I shall return.
Thank you so much for watching this video. I do hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, you can insult swordfight the buttons just under the video. Or you might want to check out some of the other videos that I've done in the past, as I've done a few point-and-click adventures. And if you consider it, then I hope to see you again soon.